Hi, welcome back. All right, we're going to look at our last three lessons here, or our last three examples here from lesson unit 10, day 3, similar areas. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make my SPA table. Okay, not sure why I put that so far there. Let me fix that. All right, and so I'm going to look and see what do I have two of. I'm going to also do my arrows. Up arrow and a down arrow so I can make sure I stay consistent. And then what do I have two of? I have an area of 296 and an area of 169. So I've got two areas, my 296 and my 169. I'm going to see if that reduces. Math, enter, enter. It does not reduce, so it is what it is. And then I want to take those numbers and figure out what was my scale factor, or what was the ratio of the sides, what's the ratio of the perimeters, or the parts. So 296 and 169, I need to unsquare them, and we unsquare by square rooting. So the square root of 296 is, that's not a cute number. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to leave this as the square root of 296, so we don't do any rounding. Okay, and then let's check the square root of 169. That is 13. So I know it looks weird, but my scale factor, my ratio of my sides, my ratio of my perimeters, my ratio of my parts is the square root of 296 over 13. Okay, so now we'll look at what I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find this altitude here. I'm trying to find this altitude, and I'm trying to find this altitude. So an altitude and an altitude. So those are going to be the ratio of the parts, which is the same as the scale factor or the ratio of the sides. So I know my up arrow 28 altitude over my down arrow x for that altitude should reduce to this kind of ugly fraction, but that's okay because we're okay with decimals once we get there. The square root of 296 over 13. And this can be cross multiplied. So when I cross multiply, I'm going to have x times the square root of 296 and 13 times 28. So the way we write x times the square root of 296 is exactly like you say it. X square root of 296. Square roots always get written last when you write multiplied expressions together. And then 28 times 13, that I can do. That leaves me with 364. So to solve this, to get rid of that square root now, I have x times this square root, right? There's a multiplication here. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by the square root of 296. So when I do that on this side, my square roots cancel out and I just have an x. And x is going to equal this. I'm going to go ahead and put in the calculator and see. It doesn't tell me what I should be rounding to, so I'm going to use the standard 3 decimal places. So 364 divided by the square root of 296. And that's going to give me 21 point all of this. I'm going to go to 3 places, 157. After the 7 is a 0, so I don't worry about it, and just do 157. So 21.157. My units are feet. So the altitude for that second figure is 21.157. Okay, 2 more. First thing I'm going to do is my up and down arrows and my SPA table. I usually put the left one on top and the right one on the bottom, and then SPA. Let's go to the SPA. That'd be nice. All right, what do I have 2 of? I have 2 areas. So I'm going to put those under areas. I've got an area that's going to go on top, my up arrow, 300. Over an area that's going to go on the bottom, 900. That's going to reduce to 300 divided by 900. Hit the math button, select fraction, hit enter, 1/3. And I know the ratio of the areas has been squared from the scale factor. So if I take that 1 and I take the 3, to unsquare them, I have to square root. Well, the square root of 1, it takes 1 times 1 to make 1, right? And you can check that. The square root of 1 is 1. But the square root of 3 is not a very pretty number. So we're going to leave this as the square root of 3. So the scale factor is 1 to the square root of 3. The ratio of the parts, or the perimeters, is also 1 to the square root of 3. Now, what am I trying to find? I'm trying to find this side length right here. And I said we can think of the side length as S for scale factor, or S for side. And I know when I compare these two sides, they're going to reduce to 1 over the square root of 3. My up arrow says X goes on top. My down arrow says 21 goes on the bottom. And that's going to reduce to 1 over the square root of 3, which can be cross multiplied. When I cross multiply, I'm going to get X times the square root of 3, and I'm going to get 1 times 21. So when I cross multiply X times the square root of 3, 1 times 21, and then to get rid of that square root of 3, remember it's really X times the square root of 3, so to get rid of it, we divide it out. Remember, that is not the same as dividing by 3, so my answer is not 7. This cancels out, and I just have an X on the left. And on the right, I'm going to have to put this in the calculator. 21 divided by the square root of 3 gives me 12.124, and then after the 4 is a 3, so I don't have to round up. 12.124. 12.124, and these are centimeters. It's the length of that side of that pentagon. All right, let's look at one more problem. Okay. What I'm going to start with when we look at this last problem is we are going to need a SPA table, and we are going to need to stay consistent, and we kind of get to pick how we want to lay this out, but we need to pick it at the beginning and then stay consistent as we go through. And I'll tell you what I mean when we get started. So let's go ahead and read it first. An apartment company is building a new, larger complex and wants to lay grass on a new courtyard that is similar to a courtyard they have already laid grass on at another complex. The perimeter of the original courtyard was 351 feet. The perimeter of the new, larger courtyard will be 819 feet. If the school used 1,620 square feet of grass for the original courtyard, how many square feet will they need for the larger new courtyard? Okay. All right. So we have, as we read, we've got a new courtyard similar to, we'll call it an old courtyard, a new courtyard and an old courtyard. For my new courtyard, let's see. Let's do that in this maroon color. For my new courtyard, I've got I'm going to make this into an arrow. Perimeter, let's see, the perimeter of the original courtyard, the perimeter of the new courtyard will be 819 feet. So P equals 819. Okay. The school used 1620 square feet of grass for the original courtyard. So my new, and then I've got original. I'm going to do original in pink. Or you can call it old. Original sounds nicer than old. Okay. Do I know my original perimeter? The perimeter of the original courtyard was 351 feet, so much smaller, right? 351 feet. The school used 1,620 square feet of grass for the original courtyard. So when I see that square feet, when I see square, I know they're talking about area. So my original courtyard had an area of 1,620 square feet. How many square feet will we need for the new, larger courtyard? Okay, so I'm looking for the new area. That's what I'm trying to find. Okay, so now I have to figure out what I'm always going to want to put on top and what I'm always going to want to put on the bottom. Kind of how I laid it out is a great way to do it. I'm going to put all my new stuff on top, and I'm going to put all my old stuff on the bottom. My new courtyard information, my old courtyard information, and then I'm going to have a spa table. So the first thing I want to know is, what do I have of both? Okay, well, I have both perimeters, right? I know both of those perimeters. My new one here is 819, and my old one is 351. Let's see if that reduces. 819 over 351, and then I'm going to hit math, select fraction, enter. Oh, good, it does. It reduces to 7/3. 7/3, which means my scale factor is also 7/3, and the ratio of my areas is the square of that 7/3. So it's 7 squared over 3 squared. 7 times 7, 49. 3 times 3, 9. So what am I trying to find? I'm trying to find an area. So I'm going to use the ratio of my areas. My up arrow area that I don't know, I'm going to call it X, over my down arrow area is 1,620. That should reduce to 49 over 9. And so now I'm ready to cross multiply. 9 times X and 49 times 1,620. 9 times X is easy. That's just 9X. And then 49 times 1620 is also easy if you have a calculator. 79,380. Divide both sides by 9. And I get X equals, let's see, divide by 9. How much grass do I need to get? I need to get 8,820 square feet of grass. Is how much we're going to need for the new courtyard at the new complex, a much bigger courtyard than the original courtyard. Okay? All right. Hopefully that all made sense. If you have any questions about using your spa table or coming up with your ratios, either from a scale factor to a ratio of areas or from a ratio of areas to a scale factor, make sure you're asking during class, during your sync time if you're virtual, or during class if you're in person. All right. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.